That morning started like any other Tuesday. I made coffee, kissed my wife, Elena, on the forehead, and reminded her we had marriage counseling at 4 p.m. She smiled, that tight, mechanical smile I'd learned to recognize over the past 6 months. "Of course, babe," she said, already scrolling on her phone. I texted her at 9 a.m. "Looking forward to tonight. I really want us to work through things." No reply. At 11 a.m., "Elena, did you schedule that appointment with the bank like we talked about?" Read receipt. No response. At 2 p.m., "Is everything okay? You haven't answered all day." Nothing. By 4 p.m., I sat alone in the parking lot of the counselor's office. I waited 45 minutes. She never showed. I texted again. "Did you forget? I'm here." The gray check marks. Not even delivered anymore. At 6 p.m., I drove home. Our apartment was dark, cold, empty. Her toothbrush still in the bathroom, her clothes still in the closet, but her car wasn't in the garage. I called her mother. "Oh, honey," her mother said, too sweetly. "I'm sure she just got caught up with friends." Friends, right. From 7 p.m. to 10:30 p.m., I sent 11 more messages, not angry ones, desperate ones. "Please just tell me you're safe. I love you. Whatever's going on, we can fix it. Elena, I'm scared." All ignored. At 10:58 p.m., I heard keys jingling outside the door. My heart jumped. Finally, she was home. The door swung open. Part 2. The Smirk. Elena walked in like she owned the world. Her hair was freshly blown out. She wore a red dress I'd never seen before, something expensive, low-cut, the kind of dress you wear to a place where the drinks cost $30 and the lights are dim enough to hide secrets. She looked at me, sitting on the couch, at the cold dinner I'd made and left on the table, at my phone in my hand, still open to our text thread. And then she smirked. "You know," she said, dragging out the words like she was savoring them, "you really need to stop blowing up my phone. It's embarrassing." I stood up. "Where have you been? I was worried sick. The counselor. We had an appointment." She laughed, actually laughed. "Oh, honey, did you really think I was going to marriage counseling with you?" I felt the floor tilt. "What are you talking about?" She walked past me into the kitchen, poured herself a glass of wine, and leaned against the counter. "I filed for divorce this morning. The papers will be served tomorrow. I was out celebrating." I gripped the back of the couch. "Celebrating what?" "My freedom, and the fact that you're about to lose everything." I shook my head. "I don't understand. We have a house, savings, my retirement." "Your retirement?" She cut me off, smirking again. "You mean the retirement account I've been emptying for the past 4 months, that one?" My blood went cold. "I transferred it all into an account in my mother's name," she continued, calm as if she were discussing the weather. "The house is in my name only. You signed that quitclaim deed 2 years ago, remember? When you were so trusting?" She made air quotes. "And the car? Mine too. You have nothing. No assets, no proof, no lawyer who will take your case without a retainer you can't afford." I couldn't breathe. She finished her wine in one long sip, set the glass down, and walked toward the bedroom. At the doorway, she paused and looked at me with pure pity. "You should have checked your phone this morning. My attorney sent you a message. Consider this your official notice. Sleep on the couch tonight. You'll be out by the end of the week." She closed the door. I heard the lock click. Part 3. The Rock Bottom. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat on the couch staring at the wall, replaying every moment of the past 8 years. We met in college. She was funny, sharp, magnetic. Everyone loved her. I felt lucky she chose me. I worked 2 jobs to put her through grad school. I paid off her credit card debt. I believed in us. And all along, she was building a cage with my name on it. The next morning, the divorce papers arrived by courier. I read through them with shaking hands. She was asking for everything: the apartment, the dog, alimony, legal fees. And she was right about one thing. On paper, I owned almost nothing. I called 3 lawyers. 2 told me I didn't have a case. The third, a woman named Margaret Holt, who sounded like she'd been fighting dragons since the 80s, said, "Come see me tomorrow. Don't delete anything on your phone." That night, I did something I'd never done before. I went through Elena's home office. She'd always been secretive about that room. "My space," she'd say. "You have the whole rest of the apartment." But she'd left the door unlocked. Inside, I found a locked drawer in her desk. I broke it open with a screwdriver. And I found the laptop. It was an old one she'd stopped using, or so she thought. When I opened it, the battery still had charge. It wasn't password protected. It's like she'd forgotten it existed. I spent 3 hours going through everything. Emails, bank statements, text message backups, and one audio file, dated 2 weeks earlier, titled Meeting with Marcus. I plugged in headphones and hit play.
Part 4. The Recording. What I heard changed everything. It was Elena's voice, clear as a bell. So by the time he hires a lawyer, there'll be nothing left to fight over. The retirement account is already moved. The crypto is in Marcus's name. The house, I made sure he signed away his rights when we refinanced. He thought it was just paperwork. He didn't even read it. Then a man's voice, her brother, Marcus. "And if he finds out about the other account, the one in the Caymans?" Elena laughed. "He won't. He trusts me. That's his problem. Always has been." Marcus, "Damn, cold, sis." Elena, "Cold is being married to a man with no ambition for 10 years. I'm done being nice. He'll walk away with nothing, and he'll never even know what hit him." I listened to that recording 17 times. Each time, something in my chest cracked a little more. But by the 17th listen, the cracks started to harden into something else. Not anger, not yet. Clarity. I copied every file onto a USB drive. Then I copied it again. I put one drive in a safety deposit box and kept the other in my sock drawer. The next morning, I walked into Margaret Holt's office and slid the USB across her desk. She listened to the recording in silence. When it ended, she looked up at me with a smile I'll never forget. "Well," she said, "looks like your wife made one mistake." "What's that?" I asked. "She forgot she was married to someone who keeps receipts." Part 5. The Courtroom. The divorce proceedings took 8 months. 8 months of Elena parading through court with her expensive lawyer, her designer suits, her smirks. She testified that I was emotionally abusive, financially irresponsible, and unable to provide a stable home. She brought witnesses, her friends, her mother, even our former neighbor. All of them said the same thing. Elena was the victim. I was the deadbeat. My attorney, Margaret, never objected, never interrupted. She just took notes and smiled that same quiet smile. On the final day of trial, Elena's lawyer gave a closing argument that could have won an Oscar. He painted me as a lazy, jealous husband who had tried to destroy a strong woman's independence. Then it was Margaret's turn. She stood up slowly, walked to the judge's bench, and said, "Your Honor, before I begin my closing, I'd like to enter Exhibit K into evidence. It's an audio recording made by the respondent, Elena Vance, 2 weeks before she filed for divorce. I'd also like to play it for the court." Elena's smirk froze. "Objection," her lawyer shouted. "Hearsay, privacy violation." Margaret held up a folder. "Your Honor, the recording was made on the respondent's own laptop, in her own home office, on a device she owned. No third party was involved. Under state law, a party to a conversation may record it without the others' consent if no reasonable expectation of privacy exists. The respondent's brother was present, and he's already testified today that he knew she was recording. No expectation of privacy when you're recording yourself." The judge looked at Elena's lawyer. "Overruled. Proceed." Margaret turned to the court clerk. "Please play Exhibit K." The courtroom went silent. And then Elena's voice filled the room. "So by the time he hires a lawyer, there'll be nothing left to fight over. The retirement account is already moved. The crypto is in Marcus's name. The house, I made sure he signed away his rights when we refinanced. He thought it was just paperwork. He didn't even read it. I watched Elena's face transform. The smirk dissolved into disbelief, then panic, then raw, unfiltered horror. Her lawyer put his head in his hands. The recording kept playing. He'll walk away with nothing, and he'll never even know what hit him. When it ended, the judge removed her glasses and stared directly at Elena. "Mrs. Vance," she said quietly, "do you have anything to say for yourself?" Elena opened her mouth. Nothing came out. Part 6. The Verdict. The judge ruled that day. She awarded me half of the hidden Cayman Islands account, which turned out to be over $400,000. She ordered Elena to repay every cent she'd stolen from my retirement account, plus interest and legal fees. She gave me full ownership of the house because the quitclaim deed Elena had tricked me into signing was obtained through fraud. And she referred Elena and her brother Marcus to the district attorney for criminal investigation of financial fraud and perjury. As the bailiff led Elena out of the courtroom, she looked back at me one last time. No smirk this time, just tears. "You recorded me," she whispered, "in my own home." I shook my head. "You recorded yourself. I just found it." She didn't understand. She never would. Epilogue. What the recording really contained. People ask me if I felt vindicated, if I enjoyed watching her world collapse. The truth is more complicated. That recording didn't just expose her lies, it exposed something I'd been avoiding for years. My wife never loved me. She loved what I could give her, and when I stopped being useful, she tried to erase me. The hardest part wasn't the betrayal. The hardest part was realizing that I had ignored every red flag for a decade because I was afraid of being alone. But here's what I learned. Being alone is temporary. Being married to someone who smiles while destroying you is a life sentence. I live in that house now. It's quiet, sometimes too quiet, but I sleep in the bedroom, not on the couch. I cook dinner for myself. I walk the dog. She tried to take him too, but the judge gave me custody of the dog as well. And every morning I look in the mirror and remind myself, you are not nothing. You never were. She thought she was divorcing a man with nothing. Then my attorney hit play. If this story moved you, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. I share real stories of justice, betrayal, and rebuilding, so you never have to face hard times alone.